Powered by the Montana Television Network. This is the 10 o'clock news on Q2, Montana's news leader.
Good evening, everyone. Thanks for joining us this Wednesday. I'm Jeanelle Slade.
And I'm Russ Riesinger. A fire burning northwest of Billings has jumped from 200 to nearly 1,000 acres tonight.
More than half a dozen local, county, state, and federal agencies totaling 75 firefighters strong attacking the blaze from the air and on the ground.
We'll get to that story in just a moment. First, though, some breaking news from downtown Billings tonight.
One person is dead after a motorcycle and pickup truck crashed at the intersection of 6th Avenue North and North 31st Street. Now, that collision just before 9 o'clock tonight. The male motorcyclist was declared dead at the scene.
Now, the truck driver was transported to a local hospital. The cause of that crash still unknown at this time.
Well, tonight, shifting winds have now sent a fire burning near Molt in a different direction, and flames are now within 200 to 300 yards of a home on Buffalo Trail Road.
That fire sparked just after noon today, has jumped to 800 to 1,000 acres tonight, and it's still growing.
Q2's David J. just returned from the scene and is standing by in the newsroom with the very latest. David.
Well, Jeanelle, Russ, the concern for firefighters was that there might be some wind with the cooling temperatures. County Commissioner Dennis Pittman, who is serving as the fire information officer, said that would also bring some humidity. It appeared that the fire may have moved south and east on parts of the plateau closer to Lip Road and 88th Street West. We spoke with the commissioner about a half an hour ago, and he said that the DNRC is estimating now more than 1,000 acres as flames has come closer to that area and also within 200 to 300 yards of one home. Commissioner Pittman says the fire spread from this area and then the wind blew it back the other way. A lot of the effort was in the ravines and now is more toward the structures, and some of those living in the area have seen this before, and a couple hours ago were not too worried.
Watch out for each other. My neighbor was at work earlier and she called me at my house and asked me how close it was, and I let her know. Told her we were pretty safe. We didn't think it was going to jump Buffalo Trail, and I don't believe it will.
A lot of timber, a lot of brush. It's really down in the ravines, so while there's a lot of smoke going on right now, it's not as big of a fire as it looks from the distance. It's just caught down in those ravines right now, and so it's just kind of working its way through all of that, which is making it harder to fight.
And Dennis Pittman says the home that is close to the flames is where we interviewed him in Georgette Halber. He says the aircraft have stopped fighting the fire, and firefighters have moved away from the ravines and up to the northwest part of the plateau to protect structures. Jeanelle, Russ?
All right, thanks so much, David.
All right, on to the weather now, Bob. This fire having a bigger impact than we realized.
Yeah, well, it's just that wind. It's just picking things up. Let me show you what happened. This is the way it started this afternoon when the storm just started to explode all of a sudden, the firestorm, that is. We had winds out of the northwest at 16 miles per hour, gusting to 24 miles per hour. That really did fan the flames. Since then, the winds have kind of swung around to the north and now towards out of the northeast and at about 7 miles per hour. And so as you'll see here, we're starting to see it show up on some of our wildfire smoke plume maps. Look at that from Billings all the way back towards the southeastern corner of the state. So that's where the smoke plumes are going right now. And as you'll see, our forecast shows the winds will continue to be out of the northeast at about 10 miles per hour tonight, and then kind of roll off to about 5 miles per hour by tomorrow morning, and eventually by Friday we're looking at those winds staying right around maybe 5 to 10 miles per hour, and then the whole thing just starting to fade away for a few days. We'll have the rest of your forecast coming up in a few more minutes.
All right, thanks, Bob. Well, some Billings family members woke to flames this morning as fire engulfed their garage and inched closer to their home. This was the scene at 104 Jefferson Street shortly after 3 o'clock this morning. Fire crews arrived on scene to find a garage and a shed burning. Despite efforts to save the home, flames jumped to the house, causing about $100,000 damage total. A young man living in that home says he saw a motion sensor light turn on, went in to investigate, and then quickly ran back into the house to alert his family, including his disabled brother. Everyone did make it out safely. The boy tells Q2 there's been a problem with people sleeping behind their home. A neighbor at the scene told Q2 the family's special needs van was also parked in that garage.
But now there's a dilemma for firefighters trying to track down who's responsible for stealing important breathing equipment that was taken from a fire engine as they were busy putting out the flames from that fire. As Q2's Andrea Lutz reports, it's not the value of the gear that has firefighters feeling uneasy, it's the nerve of that theft.
About 10 after 3 this morning,
firefighters woken up early.
We got a call that a garage was on fire.
Flames bursting from this Billings South Side garage.
We sent four fire engines, a ladder truck, and a battalion chief.
With as much as they have on their minds,
The house was heavily involved with smoke and fire.
safeguarding their gear is not one of them.
Not something like this.
Battalion Chief Jason Lyons says, but now it might have to be.
In probably the first 10 minutes that we were on scene, we were alerted by another bystander that somebody had opened up the cab of one of the trucks and was rifling through it.
A bag similar to this one taken.
Some other pieces of equipment like an adapter that we use, eye protection, firefighter's set of structural firefighting gloves.
These aren't readily available, and it's fitted perfectly for the firefighter using it.
Each piece of that equipment is specifically fitted and tailored to that person.
Lyons says these crimes are few, but now another thing for firefighters to think about should they have to secure their trucks.
And of course, fire trucks don't come with locks on the doors. Firefighters can't have any sort of an obstacle during an emergency. It's something Lyons refers to as a mission stopper.
What we can't afford is to have any delays in accessing the equipment that we rely on to protect the community.
Still, he says there are things firefighters should focus on and things they shouldn't have to.
Most likely, we'll have to, kind of continue to rely on the goodwill of people understanding we're there to help the community, and possibly just some improved physical security stuff on our end.
In Billings, Andrea Lutz, MTN News.
Now, Andrea reached out to the National Fire Protection Association to learn if they track stolen gear from fire departments across the country. And while they don't, Battalion Chief Jason Lyons says they did file a police report and a claim with insurance, although the value is roughly $350.
The retrial of the man accused of brutally murdering Senator John Tester's nephew 3 years ago in Washington state has ended with a guilty verdict.
John Radovich was found guilty of first-degree aggravated murder by a jury in Spokane today after a mistrial was declared last spring. Tester had been stabbed multiple times with a sword in front of his 8-year-old daughter, who testified during the trial. The girl telling the jury that the killer told her to stay in bed because he was going to kill her dad.
Radovich accused Tester of assaulting and raping a 17-year-old girlfriend. That's according to court documents. The prosecutors say they will seek life without parole for Radovich. State officials confirmed today they've had settlement discussions in their lawsuit against opioid manufacturer Purdue Pharma, but they declined to elaborate, saying those talks are confidential. Earlier this week, NBC News and the Washington Post reported Purdue is negotiating a multi-billion-dollar settlement that would resolve 2,000 lawsuits against the company. Purdue is the manufacturer of OxyContin, a highly addictive painkiller. The lawsuits accuse Purdue of helping fuel the opioid crisis by falsely marketing OxyContin as safe for treating chronic pain. Montana is not part of that lawsuit, instead choosing to file its own lawsuit in late 2017 in state court. Now, Montana's suit says Purdue had a business plan to deceptively market OxyContin and is asking for damages and civil penalties.
Montana Governor Steve Bullock will not step on the September Democratic presidential primary debate stage in Houston. Candidates have until midnight tonight to meet thresholds established by the Democratic National Committee. Bullock has not met the fundraising or poll numbers, but says he will continue his campaign. He's among 11 Democrats vying for a chance to take on President Donald Trump in 2020, who will likely be excluded from that debate. So far, 10 Democrats, according to CNN's count, have met those thresholds.
Coming up on tonight's 10 o'clock news, Montana's ranchers are looking forward to Japan's trade deal with the United States. We'll check out the details.
Plus, this duo is climbing mountains both literally and figuratively. We'll show you their incredible journey.
And tonight in sports, Rocky will lean on a Billings kid to guide its football offense. Hear why seniors Nate Dick today was announced as starting quarterback.
You're watching MTN News with Jeanelle Slade and Russ Riesinger. Storm Tracker weather with Bob McGuire. And sports with Scott Breen. This is the 10 o'clock news on Q2, Montana's news leader.